Hi, Tracy here with BibleJournalingMinistries.com, and today I'm going to show you how to create a traveler's notebook using our The Truth Will Set You Free printable. So I've printed out the cover and I've printed out the insert prompts. So it's basically lined, and then it has some prompts. So the date, today's verse, reflection, prayer, thankful for, and doodles and drawings. So that's what I'm going to be using today in this tutorial. I'm also going to be using a piercing pad, some staplers, a piercing tool, and I'll be using a straight edge. So I'll be using this, but you don't need to use these tools. If you have something that's similar, you can use that, and especially if you have a long arm stapler, you don't need to do the piercing mat. But I don't have a long arm stapler, so I'll be using the piercing mat. Basically, the first thing you need to do is take that printable that I just shared with you, or you can even use just paper if you want, if that's, maybe you have some really awesome scrapbooking paper in your house, and you want to make sure that your traveler's notebook is 11 centimeters by 21 centimeters tall. So 11 centimeters is 4.33 inches, and 21 centimeters is 8.25 inches. So that's what you want to create. Now these particular squares are not that. This is just designed to have almost like a little white border around that black border. That's what we did with the design. On this one, I printed out the line prompt on this side as well, so I can have a nice devotional. So I can have, not a nice devotional, but a nice traveler's notebook. But this way, when I open it up, I'll have the date, and then on the last page, it'll have this thankful for. But then when I put the inserts in, I'll have they'll all match up. So that's the idea. And that way you can print out as many as you want, and they will all go together nicely. And then you can, turn it on this side and they all match up just fine. It's the hardest time when you're creating these is to make sure they match up if you're using any kind of lines or words. But if you're using just blank pieces of paper, if you're just going to put paper in here, or if you're just using cardstock, you can just, no worries, just put it in there. But when you're using words, it's important to create a book that makes sense, and so that's why I created it like this, so you could see. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if you want to be really fast about it, you can just do it all together. You can just put it all in your cutter and just go to town, but I'm not going to do that. I think what I'll do first is the inserts. I like to do the inserts first because they're on a different paper. The other one is cardstock, and I don't want to mess this up. So I have already folded this in half, but if you don't want to fold it in half right away, you don't have to, but I do because it's just easier. And my width needs to be 4 in, see if I can show you, but there's 4 1/4 inches here and 4 3/8 inches. I'm going to go right in the middle of that. Okay, and that's going to be as close to 11 centimeters as I can get. Now I do have 11 centimeters on this tool that I'm using, the straight edge cutting tool, but it doesn't have this border here, and I use this border to line up my paper to make it super straight, and it doesn't have it on that other side. So I'm out of luck. Boy, I just barely had enough to do that. Let's see, it didn't even do this side, so I was hoping I could just get them all done with one, but I didn't. All I'm going to do is just take my straight edge and go straight up and cut that piece of paper off the edge. Okay? And then I'm going to leave it this way. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to go ahead and do the trimming here on this side. So I want to make sure that I get it at 8 1/4. So here it's 8 1/4 lined up pretty nicely. And I'm just going to trim it from the top. I could trim it from both sides if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I want to trim it at the top because there's so much more space at the top. Let me just make sure these are lining up. This one doesn't seem to be lining up very well for me today. Alright, let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so that's ready to go. The next one is going to be this one. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it in here at 4 I'm going to go just a little bit bigger, at maybe closer to 4 3/8, because I like my cover to be a little bit bigger than the insert. So either trim the insert a little bit smaller or trim this a little bit bigger. It's up to you. And then I'm going to go trim the edges. So I want to do just a little bit off the top, and I'll do a little bit off the other side. Okay. And I'm going to line this up, 8 1/4. Pretty good. And if we've done our trimming right, everything should work out just fine. If not, we'll do some more cutting. Well, it looks pretty good. Awesome. The reason why I like to, you probably heard me say a little bit earlier, the reason why I like to keep the cover a little bit bigger, because if I create exactly the same size as this paper, if I have multiple sheets of paper, the paper is actually going to stick out a little bit. You can't see it here, maybe you can, but if you have a lot of paper and a lot of bulk in the middle, the cover will just look, it will just show above the cover, and I don't want that. I want my papers to go in the cover. So I will usually either trim my paper shorter or trim my cover a little bit bigger. It's entirely up to you. If you want to be precise, you might want to just trim your papers inside just a little bit. I hope that makes sense. If not, ask a question in the comments and I'm definitely around to answer those. Alright, now if you had a long arm stapler, you would be almost done, because you would just staple the middle, one here and one there, and you would be fine. But I don't have one, so I'm going to use a paper piercer. I just have one because I'm a crafter and I just have been doing paper piercing for a while. But you can use a push pin or a needle or anything that is pointy. So all I'm going to do is line up my staples to where I want to print, where I want to punch. So I'm going to punch one by one end of that staple and one by the other end of that staple. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here and do the same thing on this side, where I go 1 and 1. And hopefully I didn't shift my paper when I just did that. I may have shifted it. There, try that again. I felt that paper shift and I was like, darn it. And the next one. There we go. Okay. So then what I need to do is get 2 staples to put in those holes. So I'm just going to peel off one staple here and another one. Staples are hard to get off with your fingernails, but sometimes they're hard and sometimes they're easy. So I usually will use a tool like this paper puncher to separate them. Alright, so the next thing you do is you just put your staples in those holes. Okay, and fold it over on this side. Awesome. And this side. Now if you want to be extra careful, if you have problems getting your staples in the holes, then maybe you want to push 2 holes and then put the staple in before you go to the other one. It's up to you. I kind of do batch things. I do things that are similar back to back. Okay, so now you have your traveler's notebook, and then if you have, a traveler's notebook insert, that's what you have. And if you have a traveler's notebook, then this will just slip right inside of that. I don't have one of those yet, so I just carry these around and I just put a little elastic rubber band around it to keep it closed. But you can also punch little eyelets. If you have eyelets, you could punch little eyelets or brads and use a little piece of string to keep them closed if you want to. There's all kinds of ways that you could decorate this and create something that's really beautiful and fun that you will be proud of. So the inside of this just has each of the days like I showed you before, and it is going to be perfect for when I am doing a weekly devotional, and I'll be ready to carry this around with me wherever I go. I hope that this video was helpful to you, and if it was, please give us a thumbs up and share with a friend. Otherwise, leave us a comment and I will get those comments answered. Thanks so much and you have a great day. Bye!